All right. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Adjust this. Ooh, some schmutz on the camera, maybe. Okay. All right. Okay. Welcome. And welcome back. It's been a couple weeks since we've had a class, so thanks for being here today. So let's just get right into it. We can take our thumbs, tuck them into our fingers. We can allow our hands to rest on our thighs. And we'll just take a couple moments to tune in and to bring our awareness to the three treasures: the body and the breath and the focus of the mind, and maybe taking a few moments with each one of those, beginning with the body and an awareness of the body sensations and the alignment of the body. Maybe just noticing the weight, how your weight is distributed through your seat, how your head and shoulders are positioned above your hips. Noticing the sensation of your clothes against your skin. Lots of different things to tune into. So just using all of those things to help anchor your awareness into your body. And we begin with the body because it's the most dense, it's the most obvious aspect of our energy. And when we settle into that quality of density, it helps us to ground, to become more present. And as you become more grounded and present, it may happen automatically that you begin to notice your breath and the movement of the breath. And so just allowing awareness to expand to include the second treasure, the breath, the qi. And it's not about breathing in any particular kind of way, but it is about noticing the breath and where the breath moves in the body, how the breath can help to bring more awareness into the body, help to refine our alignment. Maybe breathing into places that feel a little restricted or uncomfortable or spacious and open. And as you notice the body and the breath moving through the body, we're already aware of the third treasure, the mind and the focus of the mind. Just noticing where the focus of the mind is, on the breath and the body or somewhere else. And just noticing that you can notice that. You can direct that focus. You can relax that focus. And so here we are now practicing Qigong. This is it, awareness of the three treasures, exploring that spectrum within the body of engagement and alignment, and also relaxation and ease, and exploring the inhalation and the fullness, and the exhalation and the release, and the directed focus of the mind and the expansive awareness of the mind. So when you're ready, in your own way, you can bring your hands together and we'll rub our palms together, generating some heat in the palms. Heat is energy. Energy is a common translation of qi. So just feeling the qi in the palms. Recognizing that you can generate qi, generate energy, generate heat with the focus of your mind and the movement of your body. And then when you're ready, take a nice deep breath in and exhale, shake the hands out. And then rubbing the palms together, and feel free to massage one hand with the other as you rub them together. So beginning our self-massage here. So there is what's called a microsystem on the hands, reflexes that relate to the whole body on the hands. Our nervous systems are hardwired to pay a whole lot of attention to our hands and what's going on, what we're feeling through our hands. Hands, feet, nose, and lips. And so you don't need to know any kind of microsystem map. You just need to massage your hands and just notice what things feel good, what areas feel a little sore, what areas feel maybe warmer than the others or colder than the others. And just any spot that feels like it wants or needs or is asking for a little attention, extra attention, give that place that extra attention. Just taking the time to do this, it has an impact. And then whenever you're ready, charging up the hands again, another nice deep breath in and shake it out. Freshen up the palms. And then we can massage our faces, and you can go up and out or up and down, or just any kind of way that feels appropriate to you now. There's no one right way of doing it. So just find what feels good. Give yourself some care, some massage. And when you're ready, deep breath in, shake it out. We're going to do that in between every little self-massage. We're going to do this too. Rub the palms together. Notice the sensation of your palms. Notice if they get warmer, or if they stay the same, if they get colder, whatever. Just notice what's going on. And then as you're ready, you can take your fingertips and you can run them over your scalp. You can go front to back. You can go back and forth. You can find just one spot to massage if that's what seems appropriate. But the invitation is to be curious, to explore, to try different things, to notice the response to those different things that you do. Find what feels good and do more of that. If something doesn't feel good, you can do less of that. It's like we're training ourselves or untraining ourselves to be less repressive. You know, I think we're all very good at repressing ourselves and like doing things we don't like doing. And so with our Qigong practice, we can undo that. You don't have to do what you don't like. You can do what you like. If you don't like something, you can stop doing it. And as you're ready, your hands can slide down the back of your neck and around. And then another nice deep breath in and out. Rubbing the palms together, breathing with the whole body. And then let's take our palms and we can cup them over our eyes. Just gentle pressure to the eye sockets. Your eyelids can be opened or closed if you want to look in different directions, like, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock. You can do that, or you can just rest. Maybe tune into sensations that you don't always tune into, like what does the inside of your eye socket feel like? What does the backside of your eyeball feel like? We've got muscles that move our eyes, and they can tend to hold a whole lot of tension, and we might not even notice it the way that we notice when other muscles are tight. So just take a moment, feel what that feels like. Your eyes are a literal extension of your brain. So give your eyes some rest. Give your brain some rest. And as you're ready, you can pull your hands out, breathe in, and shake it out. Rubbing the palms together, noticing the sensation of the palms, breathing into and through your body, noticing the alignment of your body and the movement of your breath. And then let's activate an acupoint in between the eyes, so we can take the base of the left hand, just pressing in between the eyebrows and gently drawing the hand across the forehead and the eyebrow and off to the side, and then we can do the same thing on the other side. And this acupoint in between the eyebrows, which in different traditions relates to the third eye. The name of this acupoint is the chamber of the seal. And the seal is the red stamp. That is a big thing in Chinese culture. It's like your stamp of authenticity. So the chamber of our authenticity. Yin Tong is the name of the point. Tong is like a chamber, or like a hall, like a conference room. And the yin, that's the stamp. That's where it's kept. So just taking the time to just feel what this feels like. Find a way of doing it that feels good. If that's moving slower or faster, or moving or using more or less pressure, just find a way that's soothing, that's meaningful. And whenever you complete the next pass with whichever hand you're using, you can take a nice breath in, shake it out, rubbing the palms together and breathing. And then let's bring the edge of our thumbs to either side of our nose, and we can massage gently up and down on the side of the nose. You can come all the way up into the inner corners of the eyes and all the way down to the edge of the nostrils. We've got the frontal sinuses at the inner corners of our eyes. We have our maxillary sinuses on the edge of the nostrils. We want to breathe through our nose, clearing out our eyes, opening up our nose. And then when you're ready, deep breath in. Rubbing the palms together and breathing. Just taking a moment to acknowledge that we are giving ourselves health care. We're taking care of our bodies. We're taking care of our sensory organs. We're taking care of ourselves. We are activating the medicine within, calming down the sympathetic fight or flight nervous system, allowing the parasympathetic rest and digest nervous system to come online, producing choline-based neurotransmitters, which help to alleviate pain and inflammation and elevate the mood. All these things. You don't have to remember any of these terms, but just know they're happening. You're making them happen for free. Let's bring our thumbs to either side of our mouth, one hand below, one hand above, and you could draw back and forth, going at whatever speed you'd like, massaging your lips and your gums. You might notice some saliva getting generated, so you can let that build up, and whenever you want, you can swallow it down. And deep breath in and out. Rubbing the palms together, breathing. You know the routine by now. And now we'll take our palms and make forward circles over our ears. Forward circles. If you'd like, you can come past your ears and then fold them over. Just a different sensation to play with. And again, a deep breath in and out. Rubbing the palms together. So moving on from our heads into the shoulders, we can do a self-shoulder massage. So you just gently swing one arm up, let it land on the shoulder, and it can fall away and alternate sides. Letting gravity do most of the work. Seeing if you can be relaxed. Just allow this to happen. You don't have to land too firmly. Land in a way that feels comfortable. Sometimes we can help our arm up if you need to do that. And you can play with intention, like as your hand is swinging up, if you just think about the hand that's moving up to the shoulder and maybe thinking about the place where you'd like it to land, just notice if that changes the experience of this. They have observed that light behaves differently when you look at it. And we're made of a lot of light. So when we look at ourselves, we might behave a little differently. One more on each side. And then a big breath in and out. Rubbing the palms together. Let's open our chests so we can bring our right fingertips into a little beak. You can find the bottom of your left collarbone and slide out towards your shoulder, and you'll find nice big hollow space in that area. And then you can bring your left fingertips together and you can find right at the bottom of the sternum, you can find the right rib cage and just follow that rib cage down. And before too long, there's another little hole you kind of drop into. And then let's tap these two spots. And you can make small circles as you're tapping if you'd like, just to see what things feel like. And you may find a spot in each one of these places that feels a little distinct. The lower point might be slightly on the ribs or slightly off the ribs or halfway. The upper point might be a little bit lower than you think it will be. And whether or not you find that distinct spot, you're definitely tapping in these 2 points. So just feel into that. And then, as you can, see if you can feel into the space between these 2 points. See if you can breathe in between these 2 points, filling up the space in the rib cage. Not only the front of the rib cage, but also the sides and especially the back of the rib cage. Like, see if as you breathe, if you can almost breathe away from these points that you're tapping. So you fill the breath into the back side of the rib cage. Just noticing the sensation of movement of the breath in the chest. Things tend to get congested in our chests, physically and emotionally, and so just letting whatever's there be there, and noticing if, as you notice it, if it changes, if it moves. It doesn't have to, but we're just noticing. And then when you're ready, you can switch to just gently massaging these 2 places and breathing. And then let's change sides. So left fingertips under the right collarbone, sliding out towards the shoulder into that hollow space. Right fingertips to the base of the sternum, and then finding the left lower rib cage and just following it down until you drop into a little hollow space, and then tapping these spots, making small circles, feeling what you feel. And again, you might find some distinct sensation in the lower point by tapping maybe halfway on the ribs or mostly on the ribs or just under the rib on the abdomen. The upper point, you might find something a little lower than you think it might be. Just continue to breathe. The lower point is right at the base of the rib cage, the area of the diaphragm. The upper point is at the top of the rib cage. Our lungs fill this whole area. So see if you can breathe into this whole area. As we can breathe more completely, we get more blood and oxygen pumping through our whole bodies. More chi into the body. More life, more activity, more function, more relationship. And then when you're ready, you can massage these 2 points. And again, another deep breath in and out. Rubbing the palms together. We're almost there. So we can bring our hands now onto the lower ribs, and we can massage our lower ribs, and the hands can come onto the abdomen. Just massaging our abdomens, massaging our internal organs, taking a moment to acknowledge that they are there. We have a heart and lungs, and we have a stomach and a spleen and a pancreas. We have a liver and a gallbladder, a large and small intestine. We've got urinary bladders and reproductive organs. We got a whole lot going on, and they're doing a whole lot for us. And we can just acknowledge them and say, thank you. Thank you for doing what you do. And you can do this however you'd like. Each hand doing its own thing. The hands can come together, working together. You can make circles in one direction. You can go in the other direction. You can have one hand over your chest and one over your belly, and they can switch. And you can make small circles inside of big circles. Like again, the invitation is to be curious and interested about what this experience feels like. Finding a way of doing this that feels good. And when you're ready, your hands can come around your waist to your lower back, the area of your kidneys and your adrenal glands and your lumbar spine. And drawing the hands out, shake them out. All right, arms and legs is all we have left. So let's begin with our arms. Starting with the left arm, you can tap your fingertips and then run up the outside and down the inside. And just go with the flow. You can do this fast, you can do it slow. You can use heavy pressure, you can use light pressure, you can go off the body. You can do all of those things. Cycle through them. See what feels good. See what you like. And what you like may change over time, and that's okay. And one more time, up and then down and tap. Changing sides, tapping the fingertips, up the outside, down the inside. And it's the same body, but it's a different arm, and it may feel differently. It may like different things. It may like the same thing. Again, these are all just opportunities to just notice, to get to know ourselves a little bit better, to allow ourselves to show up a little more fully. One more time, up and then down. Big breath in and out. Rubbing the palms together. Now we can bring our feet out in front of us. And you can massage your feet with your hands. If you're sitting in a chair, you can bring one foot up across the knee if that works for you. If you want to bend over, work on both feet, that's fine. I like to massage the bottom of my feet with my thumbs. I like to use my fingers and work in between the long bones on the top of my feet, finding zingy spots and giving those zingy spots a little extra stimulation. You can also find the edge of your foot that's facing up towards you, starting with the big toe, and you can kind of massage and squeeze and rub that edge of the foot that's facing up towards you. And you may find some tender spots along that edge, and so you can give those spots some extra attention. And then, if you'd like, you can use your thumbs and you can follow the funnel down on the bottom of the foot and find that deepest hollow, which is usually in the area beneath the ball of the big and second toes. And you can just apply some gentle pressure to that spot. And then from here, we can drag our hands up the inside of the legs and around the hips and down the outside. And again, just going with the flow. Trying different speeds, different amounts of pressure, maybe helping to bring some circulation back into our feet after sitting here for a while. Or just facilitating the movement of fluids through the legs. You know, the legs have to move that fluid up against gravity. So just helping things along. And then we can come one more time up and around and down and out the feet. And a big breath in. Shake it out. Rubbing the palms together. And then tucking our thumbs back into our fingers, returning to a comfortable seat and just taking a moment. Checking back in with the three treasures where we began, just noticing your body and the sensations in the body, the alignment of the body, maybe the temperature of the air against your skin, breathing with the whole body. Just noticing the focus and the quality of the mind, maybe noticing the space in the mind. And whenever you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. Right. Yeah. That was like over a half hour of Qigong self-massage we just did, which is great. And again, just to reiterate that this is, you know, I mean, it's something we can do for ourselves whenever we want to. And you don't have to schedule an appointment. You don't have to pay for parking, which is, you know, the cost is insane now in Durango. It's like, what, 10 minutes for a quarter? That's crazy. And so you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about is the person doing it in the way that you want it done because you're doing it for yourself. And we're basically addressing the whole body except for a spot, you know, kind of in our back, like around our shoulder blades about this big. but pretty much everything else gets some attention and some focus. And, you know, you can do it for half an hour, you can do it for 5 minutes, and you can get benefit. And it can literally like change your whole neurological programming even. There can be transformation that takes place just by doing this. Like, that's pretty empowering. So, any questions about anything? Right. Great. So, you know, continuing on with the theme that we often do in this class of checking in with where we are according to the seasons. So, you know, in Chinese cosmology, there are 24 seasonal nodes, 6 to each of the 4 seasons. This past weekend, we entered into the 3rd phase of autumn. And so the next phase, the 4th phase of every season, is always either the equinox or the solstice. So the next phase is the equinox coming up on the 22nd-ish. And so the phase that we're in now, the 3rd phase, it's called white dew. And the reason why we talk about this, again, is because we want to understand some of the themes and the dynamics that are going on out in the macrocosm so that we can then harmonize our own internal microcosm with that. Having harmony internally and externally. That's one of the ways of maintaining balance and health in our systems. And so, you know, by the 3rd phase of every season, we're starting to feel it a little bit more, because according to this cosmology, autumn began in early August. And, you know, we might say, well, that's not autumn, that's summer, you know, and yeah, it's just beginning. It's kind of building. And the way it typically happens is it kind of creeps in from the beginning and the ends of the days. It kind of starts to work its way in until the whole day feels like that season, which is usually happening around the solstices or the equinox. So white dew, the 3rd phase, we're definitely starting to feel it in the mornings and the evenings. It's like colder in the mornings, and it's colder in the evenings, and sometimes even in the middle of the day. And so white dew, the reason why it's named this is because as the air gets cooler, cold condenses. So it condenses moisture out of the air, and that air or that moisture moves down. And then we have this dew in the mornings. It's a little bit wetter and colder on the ground. As that moisture condenses down out of the skies get more clear and a little bit more dry as well. And things get a little crispy, and the leaves start to then change, and they start to get dry. And so there's this idea of this consolidation inwards and downwards, just like the way the sap in the trees is beginning to move inwards and downwards, just like in our bodies, things are beginning to move inwards and downwards. And that can sometimes show up even like emotionally as a little bit of grief or longing that comes up maybe for no reason at all. It's just there, but then our minds want to attach it to something, like I must be sad because of this or because of that. And it's also, and maybe so, but it's also just because that's like the external milieu, you know, is this kind of moving in and moving down, and with that clarity in the sky, just like some clarity inside of ourselves, we might be a little more reflective. It might have been like, oh, you know, I wish this would have happened instead of that. We're kind of starting to weigh things out, you know, like even getting way weird with it. Like when we're thinking about moving into Libra time or however, and the scales and like weighing things out. Why do the scales associate with autumn? Because this is what we tend to do this time of year. So assessing things, autumn cleanses, you know, we had this summertime with a lot of stuff. And now we're kind of harvesting, and it's like, what are we going to take in, and what are we going to store and maintain through the winter, and what's the other stuff that we can let go of? So there's all of these things that are happening. These are the themes that are up for us right now. And so just to be aware of that. And then, you know, on a more kind of physiological level, if we're thinking about moisture, coolness, moving inwards and downwards, so we have more dryness out here, like, yeah, our sinuses can get dry. A lot of nosebleeds happen in the autumn times, you know, and so we want to make sure that we keep our sinuses, our mucous membranes, our throats, our lungs nice and moist. What are the things that nature provides for us to do that? Things like apples and pears, which are very moistening, nourishing types of fruits that are actually very specific to the sinuses and the throat and the lungs. So these are things that can be useful. Asparagus is another great one that's very moistening and nourishing. You know, a lot of the squashes and the zucchinis and the summer squashes moving into autumn and winter squashes that are abundant at this time, those are all also very nourishing and moistening, making soups and stews and drinking teas. Like, these are things that we can do to help maintain balance as things get more dry, as things get more cold. We want to stay warm and a little bit moist so that we can stay healthy. Our immune system can be vital in the face of cold and flu season. Dress a little bit more warmly as it gets cold. You don't have to lament summer is ending and I will protest by wearing flip-flops and shorts and t-shirts until it's snowing. It's like, you can also adapt just like animals adapt and get a little bit more fur by putting on a little bit more clothes, wearing socks, things like this. So that's my spiel on that. All right, seasonal nodes, white dew. All right, moving on. Just a little bit about what's on the board, and then we'll get into our moving standing practice. So the practice that I'd like to do today is the form. We've done it before, new to some of you, review for some others. It's called the 9 phases of Qi cultivation. And it's a really nice form. There's 9 phases. 9 is a big number in Chinese Taoist numerology. It's like the number of completion. You go through 9, when you get to 10, you're basically at 1 again. So 1 through 9. It's a big number. There's also 3 sets of 3 within 9. 3 is a big number in a lot of different cultures, trinities, things like this. So the primary trinity we're thinking about with Qigong is the Jing, the Qi, and the Shen, which can sometimes be translated as the body and the breath and the spirit, or, you know, the body, the vital body, the breath, and just awareness in general. And then the spirit can be like awareness of awareness. So like you can be breathing but not aware that you're breathing, or you can have a kind of an awareness that's very scattered and unfocused. But when we talk about Shen, we're talking about like awareness of awareness, which here I have this depiction. It's a candle, which is one way that we can kind of conceptualize Jing, Qi, and Shen. So like the body, the Jing is like our candle wax, and then the Qi is the flame that's happening. And then the Shen, the spirit, that's the light that comes off of the flame. And so when we practice the 9 phases of Qi cultivation, there's, again, 3 sets of 3. The first 3 movements are a little bit more kind of physical, body-oriented. We're using the legs. We're getting into our big muscles. The Qi level, we're moving more into the arms, and we're really kind of moving our awareness through our body. And like, what does it feel like not only to have a body, but to move the body in space and what's kind of going on around us? And then when we move into those last 3 movements on that Shen level, it's like more total integration, legs and arms moving together, all of these things happening. Do you need to know all of this and think about all of these things as we're practicing this form? No. But I just feel like it's worth mentioning, because for some of you who have practiced it for a while before, it might be nice to kind of just, deepen the awareness and the focus as we practice. So I think that's all there is to say about all of that. Any questions about any of that? Okay, good. So let's practice then. So we're going to stand up, we'll do some warming up, and then we'll go through the 9 phases of Qi cultivation. Yeah, and for those of you who have been coming to the classes for a while and we've done the 9 phases of Qi cultivation before, as happens, as we practice, like things kind of shift and change a little bit, the movements evolve. Sometimes I practice with my teachers, they change the forms a little bit, so there may be some movements that might seem a little bit different than the way we've done them before. If you've never done it before, then great. It'll be the first time. So if we're doing something differently than you remember it, and you want to do it how you remember it, you can do that. If you want to try something new, you can do that too. All right. So yeah, let's begin just kind of shaking ourselves out a little bit. We were sitting. If you want to maybe bounce up and down and turn yourself, and you can bounce big or small and just kind of shake it out. Breathe deeply. It might be useful to do some sighs of relief, so a big inhale and an audible exhale. Or even a blither. And then next time that you inhale and like tighten everything up. Draw your hands into fist, your feet into fist, your shoulders up, scrunch. And then exhale and relax. And we'll do that 2 more times. Big inhale. Exhale. 1 more. And then let's start by just turning some. So we're not doing the 9 phases just yet, but just warming ourselves up. And let your hands, when they land on your body, let them land for a moment. Like rather than kind of bouncing off the body, like land. And no need to over-rotate. Just turn just as much as it's comfortable. Let your knees be soft. Let your hips rotate. The shoulders don't have to go very much further than the hips go. And when you're ready, if you'd like, you can bring your hands up to the lower ribs. So the front hand is landing around the base of the rib cage, the back hand, like the back of your hand, landing against the lower back and the small of the back. And just taking a moment when you land, to like let it land. And you don't have to pound yourself, but you know, feel it and feel that reverberation through your body. It's like when I land on this right side of my body where my liver is, it's like, ooh, I feel that, my liver, ugh. And so just giving it some stimulation, like allowing it to relax and to free itself up. And when you're ready, if you'd like, you can bring your hands up a little higher to the shoulders. So maybe the back hand is framing the shoulder blade a little bit. Maybe it stays low around the base of the rib cage. Just finding a way that is comfortable. Just wringing ourselves out a little bit. And then, if you'd like, you can move back down to the middle or the hips. And then you have these 3 places that you can play with. So it's like every time the hands come around, you can land on a different spot if you want. Just play with stuff. Just loosening up these girdles, the hip girdles, the shoulder girdles, the area of the diaphragm and the lower rib cage. Things tend to get built up in these areas. Neck and shoulder tension, throat issues, chest issues, digestive issues, anxiety issues, lower back pain, genitourinary stuff. We want to open up these big horizontal vectors so that things can move. And then whenever you're ready, you can just let that relax and unwind. And then just taking a moment to come into a standing position. And we'll just check in as we're standing, checking in with the 3 treasures. So as we stand, what I really like doing is I recommend lifting your toes off of the ground, letting your knees unlock. And when you lift your toes up, you can really find your heel bone, you can find the outside edge of your foot and your pinky, like base of the pinky toe, and you can also press down through the base of the big toe mound. And so finding these 3 points of contact through your feet, which is a pretty active sensation. You know, you can feel your legs turn on, and it's almost like you're spreading the floor apart in between your feet, rooting into those outside edges of your feet. You've got weight in the heels. You can kind of check in with the big toe mound to make sure you have stability. And so just continually checking in with those 3 points of contact. You can let your toes relax. You can let that kind of effort soften, but maintaining an awareness of that. Let the knees be relaxed. And so we've got this nice kind of stable, rooted lower body. And then just with awareness, tuning into our pelvis. And you don't have to tilt your pelvis any particular way. You know, a lot of times people will say, tuck your pelvis. I don't like that. I like to just have the natural curve of the lower back. Let the pelvis be free in space. As you breathe, it might move a little bit, and that's okay. It's like we want to be rooted down into the earth. We want to have this freedom, almost neutrality in the pelvis, so that then we can have this liftingness up through the spine. And so with awareness, just rising up through the spine into the rib cage, and take a nice breath into your body so you can feel your rib cage, and just notice where your breath moves in your rib cage. It's not uncommon for the front of the ribs to kind of move forward and the lower back to get a little bit more hyperextended. And if that's happening, the invitation is to think about breathing more into the sides and the back of the rib cage. And if you need some tactile feedback, you can rest your hands on your lower ribs, and you can, as you inhale, think about breathing away from your hands. Breathing into the back side of the body. As you exhale, think about exhaling away from your hands, which might engage your abdomen a little bit more. This is what we call the lower dantian. So just thinking about a 360-degree breath, which really, if you think about breathing into the back of the body, the sides and the front will take care of themselves as well. So think about that full 360-degree cylindrical breath, really breathing your ribs to the wall behind you, letting your shoulder blades be nice and relaxed. And then you don't have to breathe as big if you don't want to, but you can use that big breath to just bring awareness into where the breath is moving in your body. And there are muscles in the backside of the body that need to get woken up, and the breath will do that. And it happens pretty quickly. It's just consistency is required. And then if you want to tune into your collarbones, and think about your collarbones spreading wide to the walls on either side of you, and it may feel like it kind of pulls you up and you stand a little taller. And so many of us are used to standing, just a little rounded forward, not even that much. And so when we come up tall, it almost feels like we're standing like this. But it's really just standing a little more upright. As you come upright and spread through the collarbones, you might feel more weight drop into the heels, which is good. And if that makes you feel unstable, spread the floor apart in between your feet. And then you'll be rooted into your heels. You'll be nice and strong in your stance, which again gives you the base to lift and to spread. You can take up the space that you occupy. You're allowed to do that. The universe has endowed you with space that you can fill with your breath and with awareness, and it will be received and welcomed and nourished. And then continuing on up the neck, there's a spot on the back of the head. If you touch there, you'll find a little point on the back of your skull. And what we're thinking about is kind of gently reaching back through that point in the back of the skull, which will cause the back of the neck to get a little bit longer. It'll cause the chin to tuck very slightly. It's almost like, reaching back through this point, it's almost like as if someone was taking the back of your ears and just pulling you back and slightly up. So again, nice long back of the neck, slightly tucked chin. That length through the back of the neck might drop down in between your shoulder blades. You might feel the stretch all the way down to your sacrum, maybe all the way down to the heels. So we've got this nice long and wide structure of the body. We're rooted into the earth. We're lifting up into the sky. One last cue you might think about as you breathe, think about breathing high into the bridge of the nose. And you might notice as you do that, you'll feel your neck muscles engage. You'll feel your collarbones lift and spread. So that's another thing that will help certain muscles of your body help bring you into alignment. Not breathing at the tip of the nose, breathe at the bridge of the nose. Feel the breath there in between your eyes. Feel what that does to your neck. Gets you nice and long and lengthened and decompressed. Might even bring more awareness into the base of the skull. So just this standing like this with awareness, checking in with these different cues, the 3 points of contact on the feet, weight in the heels, neutral pelvis, breathing into the backside of the rib cage, lengthening through the backside of the neck, breathing into the bridge of the nose. This is Qigong. Standing like this is a Qigong practice. You will get the benefits. You will activate that internal medicine within yourself. So let's practice the 9 phases of Qi cultivation. And, I'll reference some of these alignment cues as we move through. And so just knowing what this feels like here, we can find this in different shapes, in different postures. So as you're ready, you can soften your knees, maybe sink a little bit, shift your weight to one side so you can take a small step out and let the arms float out. And then just relax, coming together, kind of like you're forming a ball in front of your throat or your face or your chest. And then as you inhale, lift through your elbows, lengthen through the back of the neck, get nice and long, maybe bringing some of the bend out of the knees, and then exhale and soften and relax. So we're just moving like this with the breath. Inhale, engaging the body, exhaling, relaxing. It's like this nice rhythmic undulation, like a slow motion jellyfish. And just let the movement help you find more of your body, more awareness in the body. What do things feel like? Can you find spaciousness? And as you exhale and relax, you're not like collapsing in, but things are getting a little closer together, but there's still that space and that movement. Just a couple more like this. Just inhaling and exhaling. So this first phase of Qi cultivation, we typically refer to it as discovering Qi or engaging the Qi. And by Qi, we mean the body and the breath and the focus of the mind. We're discovering this within movement, within rhythm. A couple more. Let's transition to the next movement. So on the inhale, let your arms flow out to the sides just as much as is comfortable. And then hinge your hips back, keep your spine nice and tall, and just sink just as low as is comfortable, kind of like you're going to pick something up. Spread your knees wide, lift your toes, press through your heels to come up, and the hands come up. And then we can open out to the sides, and then gathering up from the sky and down through the body. Hands come to the level of the chest, and then we can open out. I'll show you from the sides here. So again, taking it slow, hips first, weight is in the heels. The spine is nice and tall. We're not rounding forward, we're not hinging forward, we're just sinking through the seat. The hips are moving back, the knees are moving away from each other. We're lifting through that point in the back of the head, and then press through your heels, the hands come up, and then relax and open out. Knees can soften, and then press through your legs, reach up through your arms, stretch, and then the hands come down. If you want to work with the breath, you can inhale, hinge, sink as you exhale, just going as low as is comfortable. Pressing through the heels, coming up. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Opening out. Gathering from the earth. The hips are higher than the knees. The shoulders are higher than the hips. We press up. And then out. Gathering from the sky. And we can just move like this. Just take your time, find your own rhythm with it. Again, just go as low or not as low as feels comfortable. We want to be gentle on our knees as we gather from the earth. And again, hinge the hips back. If you're feeling it in your knees or your quads, send your hips further back. Lift your toes, press through your heels, lifting with the hamstrings and the glutes. Stretch. So it's a nice stretch. It's a nice leg exercise, but it's also like this ritual that we're doing with the earth below and the sky above. We're just participating with this exchange of energy. There's like this immaterial, almost like what? Like just invisible plasma of the universe, and then there's this material substance of the earth, and they're constantly transforming into each other. They're supporting each other, and we're in between that. We're the filament, we're the conduit. And so how can we receive and also let go? And how can we give it away and let it come in, and just have this movement in and out, constantly empty, constantly full, not getting stuck or congested, but just feeling the flow and really facilitating the flow. And how good does that feel? Let's do a couple more in your own way. One more time, we'll gather up. And then let the hands just float down, all the way down. And we'll transition to the next movement. So let's turn our right foot in and then turn to face the left. And take a moment to kind of orient yourself. One thing that's useful here is we don't want to be standing on a balance beam with our feet. You can bring that back foot out a little bit, so it's more like standing on train tracks. Your hips are facing forward. And then let's bring our hands up to our chests. And then you can circulate the arms out in front. And then coming back. And you can circulate the arms down now. And then coming back up. And we can work this a little bit. So let's circulate out and just take a pause. And so if you really bend into that front leg, you might feel your thigh, you might feel your knee. So the invitation is to see if you can bring your hip back so that your knee is more just above or even behind that front ankle. So you're feeling more in the hamstring and the butt. And then press through that front heel to bring yourself back. And then as we circulate down, it might be necessary to bring your foot a little closer to you, but if you're okay, this is less of a forward fold, and it's more this back leg, we're just sinking into the back leg, just as low as is comfortable. The front toes might need to come up. And then you press through the back foot, stand up through the back foot, And then you can circulate out in front. The hips are moving back, the knee is behind the ankle. Press through your front heel, coming in. And then again, just sinking into that back leg. Let the weight be even through the foot, not all in the balls of the feet. And then press through that back foot to come up. And you don't have to go very low. You don't have to go very far. You can keep this manageable. You can keep it to where it feels good. Circulating in, and then sinking, circulating down, pressing yourself back up. And now that we know the basic movement, you can just enjoy the flow of the movement. You can inhale in and exhale down. In and out. Gathering in. Flowing down. Gathering up. So just letting the movement be a meditation. Be something that can provide rest and renewal within activity. Let's do one more full cycle. So circulating out and down. And this time as you circulate up, you could turn to face forward. The arms can come around. And let's do the other side. So the left foot can turn in. We can turn to face the right. Feel free to adjust your stance so you're not on a balance beam. You can feel stable. The hands can float up to the chest. And then let's circulate out and just check in here. So take a moment. And again, think about moving the hip back, moving the knee behind the front ankle. So you can feel your glute, you can feel your hamstring. That's where most of the work is coming from. And then press through that front heel and come back. And then the front toes may lift, and then you can just sink into that back leg just as low as is comfortable. You don't have to go down too far, and then press through that back foot to come up. So we're lifting with our legs, not our backs, and then we circle out, pressing through the front heel, coming back, sinking through the back leg, circulating down, staying in your comfort zone, pressing through the back foot to come up. And again, inhale and exhale. So Qigong should not be painful. It should be easeful. We don't have to push ourselves beyond where we want to go. But where we go over time may expand. We may end up going further without necessarily trying. It just happens. Inhaling, one more full cycle. Exhale. Pressing through the front heel, inhale. And exhale. Pressing up through the back foot, inhale. Turn to face forward, the arms can come around. And then palms back to back, you can bring the hands up. And then palms together. So we just finished the first three movements, the Jing body level. Now we're moving into the Qi breath heart level. So just taking a moment to rest here, maybe feeling the legs, the work we just did on our legs. And then just bringing awareness up into the middle dantian, into the chest, the heart, feeling the hands as they press together. And let's move. So take an inhale, the hands can come up. And then exhale, press your arms out. As your arms move out, we're not following the arms, we're thinking about counterbalance. And then inhale, the arms out. Exhale, press wide, fingertips face up, stretching. Inhale, hands come in, turn the palms up. Exhale, press up. Inhale. Exhale, press down, reach through the top of the head. And we'll do that again. Inhale. So as you extend out in front, you're almost sinking backwards and then inhaling out. And exhale, as you press one side, press the other side. Stretch in both directions. Get wide and inhale. Palms up. As you press up, you can sink into the knees a little bit. So sinking down, reaching up. Inhale. As you press down, you're reaching up through the back of the neck, the back of the head, nice and long and tall. And again, in. Exhale. Open your heart as wide as it will go, or as far as it will go. Inhale. Now we're opening the heart as wide as it will go. Inhale. Opening as high as it will go. Inhale. Opening it as deep as it will go. Again. And as we do this, really think about pressing through the base of the palm. Feel the stretch. You don't have to lock your elbows, but stretch. And then out. And stretch, feeling the fingers stretching away from each other, the muscles of the forearms reaching, stretching, coming in. And then pressing. And again. And so the elbows and the knees remain unlocked. Just find the stretch. Maybe feeling the stretch from the hands all the way into the shoulders and the chest. One more. Exhale. Palms back to back. Return to the universal symbol of gratitude. Hands together in front of the heart. And now let's direct the chi through the body. So hands come over the face and the head, down the back of the neck, around the base of the neck, under the collarbones and arms, and then down the back side of the body. You can hinge your hips back. The hands are coming down the back of the legs. You can bend your knees as much as you'd like. Hands over the top of the feet, up the front of the legs, tracing the meridians on the body, up onto the belly. I'll mirror you. Let's go out the inside of the left arm. And then over the top of the hand and up the outside, onto the neck and the face, and then that hand can open out, and we'll take the left hand and trace the inside of the right arm out, and then up, and then our right arm can come in, and our left arm can come in, and then let's go over the head, around the base of the neck, under the collarbone, down the backside of the body. Take your time. And then up the front of the legs, to the belly, to the chest, and then out the inside of the arm, up the outside. Changing sides. Up the outside, one arm comes in, and then the other, let's do it again. Just follow the momentum. Under the collarbones, and down. Up the front, Out the inside of one arm, up the outside. Changing sides. One more time, we'll cross and then over and around, under and down, up to the chest and out one arm, back up, out the other arm, and back up. And then one arm comes in and the other arm comes in, and now transition, lift through the elbows. And like the clouds are parting. And let's let this, your right hand come down and across the body. And as it floats up, the other hand floats down. And then let's bring both hands across the body. And then the lower hand rises, the upper hand drops, and then bring the hands across. And so this is our movement, which may be a familiar movement to most of us. If we haven't done it, we've probably at least seen it. And as the hands come across, you can shift your weight to one side if you'd like, and then as the arms switch, you come up and shift the weight to the other side. And you can think about drawing a square. So here's one side of the square, and then the top and the bottom of the square, and then the other side of the square, and then bring it across. And over time, as you're moving, the corners of the square may start to get a little rounded. But the idea is thinking about the hands moving together. The body, the rotation of the body is what helps to move the arms. And just finding ease with this. Maybe slowing down a little bit. This movement is often called watching clouds pass. So it's like you're laying on your back in a field, looking up at the sky, just watching clouds float across the sky. And they don't have anywhere they need to be, so they're just doing their thing. And then the next time, whichever hand floats up and comes in front of your face, pause. Bring the lower hand up to cross. Now we're transitioning from the Qi level to the Shen level. So arms and legs, full body, full embodiment. So the hands can come to either side of the hips. And as we've been doing here, the hips hinge back, and then we bend the hips back, and the knees bend just as much as is comfortable. Spine is nice and long, hands come down, and then press through your heels and gather up with the arms, and then draw that down through the body. The hands come to either side of the hips, and again, prepare, and then the hips come back and sink just as much as is comfortable. Toes can lift, knees spread apart, press through your heels, come up. And relax. If you'd like to work with the breath, we can inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And continuing on at your own pace. And it's almost like you're digging into the earth, and you're gathering from the biofield and from the celestial domain, and you're drawing that into the body. The name of this phase of Qi cultivation is storing Qi. And it's similar to a movement from a Qigong form called marrow washing. So like we're washing the marrow in our bones, or we're storing something deep in our marrow. So what is that you want to store, that you want to gather up? Is it health, happiness? Is it abundance? Is it love, relationship, peace, and calm? Like whatever it is that you're wanting to store, intend that. Make that your intention of what you're gathering and drawing in and storing in your marrow which will eventually become your blood. Our red blood cells come from our bone marrow. Where does our bone marrow come from? From the universe, from our parents. Like, where did our parents come from? Where did their parents come from? Where did everything come from? From nothing. From this immaterial plasma of the universe that we are digging into and gathering up and intentfully bringing into our bodies and storing in our bones. One more time, gathering up and storing, letting the hands float to the level of the lower dantian, to the belly button. And then the palms can come back to back and we can just open our arms out. And like we're finding a ball in front of the lower dantian, so we can play our Qi accordion. So let's inhale. And then exhale. And again, inhale. And exhale, and just feeling the space in between your fingers, feeling the space in between your hands. Take one hand above and one hand below, and then inhale, nice and vertical. Flip the hands over, do the other side. And now we can do diagonal, so you can bring one hand back over the shoulder. Stay connected to that front hand, and then bring it all back together. And then doing the other side. And again, let's go vertical. So you can inhale and stretch, and exhale, turn it over, inhale, and exhale. Inhale, diagonal, and exhale, inhale. So this phase is called transforming Qi, and this movement is often referred to as the dragon polishing the pearl. So it's like as if we're dragons, and we've got this like pearly Qi ball in between our front claws, and we're just playing with it. We can make it big, and we can stretch it out, and then we can compress it down, consolidate it, make it maybe really hot and potent. And so just playing with that, you can use your imagination, and the legs are bending and stretching as the arms are moving, and there's gentle rotation. And maybe you feel something in between your hands, and maybe you don't. And if you don't feel anything, feel that nothingness. Let's do one more time through the diagonals here. And then the hands can face each other at about the level of the pelvis. And then you can bring the hands up close to the body. And then as you send the hands out, you can lift your toes, let your weight just settle into your heels. So similar to the movement before, as we move forward, we move slightly back. The hands can rise up, and it's like you're drawing something up your spine and over the top of your head. And then it flows down the front of the body, down the midline to the belly, and then underneath to the perineum. And then you can draw it up the spine, through the neck, into the head, over the top of the head, and then flowing down the front. Taking your time. So on the last one here, the hands can flow up. We're drawing the Qi up the spine, over the top of the head. And then as the arms come out, you can just let them settle. You can float at about head level or chest level or belly level. And the arms aren't too far forward. They're not too close, but we can find that kind of Goldilocks spot that's just right. And you can think about your elbows like as if you were holding elevator doors open. Like it doesn't take a lot to keep elevator doors open. There's just a little bit of awareness kind of spreading wide. And you can think about as you breathe your ribs away from your hands, the back of your ribs away from your hands. Lift through that point in the back of the skull. Lift your toes, find your 3 points of contact. Let your knees move away from each other, spread the floor between your feet. You can really get effortful with this to feel it, to feel the activation, and then you can also back off that effort. You can let the elbows, even though they're active, they can be relaxed. If it feels more sustainable to bring the hands down to about belly level, you can do that. And think about breathing high into the bridge of the nose, spreading the collarbones. And just feeling the width of the body, feeling the space that you occupy. Breathe into that space. Breathe into the space that you occupy that extends beyond your physical body, like that picture of the candle, the Shen, the light that emanates from the flame. Feel into that. That is part of you as well, and it's where that part of you merges with the bigger part of you, the bigger part of all of us. And then one more nice deep breath here, breathing in. Exhale, relax the arms down, and then as you inhale, gather the arms up, step the feet a little closer together. And exhale the hands down the front of the body. And you can place one hand over the other, over the belly button. Just taking a moment to feel your hands on your belly. Allow your awareness to be in your belly. Allow your awareness to sink down out of your head into your body. And then your hands can come across the hips or the waist, and then down. And just take a moment to just stand here. Drift. Good. And then we can rub our hands together. And we'll close just kind of coming back in. So we can rub our faces up and down a couple times. Back and forth over the head a couple times. Down the back of the neck and around. Over the chest and the lower ribs and the abdomen. Around the waist to the lower back. Draw the hands out. Shake them out. Let's pat up one arm. And down. The other arm. Down. And then around and down the back of the body. And around and down. That was our nice long Qigong practice for today. So hopefully that felt good. I have a recording, or this has been recording, so if you'd like a copy of this class to practice with on your own, let me know, send me an email. I'll send you a copy. Are there any questions about anything that we did? Pretty clear? Okay, great. So yeah, well, I hope you have a great week then. Next week in our class, we're gonna kind of continue on with practicing Qigong. And I think for the next couple of weeks, we're gonna start working on the easy kind of Tai Chi as Qigong. So It's like doing some movements that seem like Tai Chi movements, one of which we've already done today, I think two of which we've already done today. But doing it in a Qigong kind of way. So it's, again, just a nice moving meditation, really easy to get, really good for the brain, for neuroplasticity, and for all the things that we want it to do. All right, I'll stop talking. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your day. All right. Okay, bye everyone.